The story begins in Mississippi, USA, where a dangerous drug dealer is operating inside his house. Suddenly, a masked individual enters the scene, intent on robbing the gangsters of their drug supply. Despite being alone, this masked figure successfully overpowers the gangsters one by one. As he prepares to escape with the seized drugs, law enforcement arrives and apprehends him. This masked man is revealed to be Terry Savage, a former Marine sergeant with an exemplary military record, including numerous commendations for his service, particularly during his deployment in Afghanistan. Before his incarceration, Terry is visited by Police Commissioner Harvey, who inquires about the circumstances that led a decorated war hero to become a street criminal. Terry expresses his frustration, explaining that the challenges of civilian life post-military service have left him feeling unappreciated and struggling to secure gainful employment. In response, Harvey shares that he has a mission for Terry while he is in prison. He is tasked with investigating a prison warden suspected of various legal violations, including human rights abuses, corruption, and involvement in drug trafficking. Harvey notes that police efforts to investigate the prison have been hampered by its maximum security status and the warden's apparent protection from organized crime and corrupt officials. Harvey assures Terry that if he successfully completes this mission, he will be granted a full pardon and have his criminal record expunted. This opportunity is particularly appealing to Terry as he seeks financial means to cover his seriously ill daughter's medical expenses. Motivated by these considerations, Terry agrees to Harvey's proposal, which comes with a deadline of 10 days to complete the mission. Following their agreement, Terry is transported to prison alongside other inmates. Upon arrival, they are met by Lieutenant Killian and his deputy Roy, who emphasize the importance of adhering to the warden's directives. While incarcerated, any act of disobedience would result in severe punishment. Subsequently, all prisoners, including Terry, received an injection of a tracking chip in their necks designed to monitor their movements within the facility. They were then assigned to their respective cells. Terry quickly realized that this was no ordinary prison. It housed numerous high-profile criminals known for their brutality. Upon entering his cell, Terry discovered a hidden cell phone beneath the bed, secretly placed there by Harvey, which he intended to use to report any criminal activities occurring within the prison. The narrative shifted to Terry in the dining area where he was confronted by a prisoner named Chris who attempted to provoke him. Despite having the capability to retaliate, Terry chose to ignore Chris. The following day, while in the prison yard, Terry was approached by a prisoner named John, who invited him to join his mafia group. John suggested that having allies would ensure Terry's safety in prison. However, Terry declined, expressing his preference to operate independently. Later that evening, while in the laundry room, Terry witnessed John being attacked by a group of inmates, but John managed to subdue them with ease. "One of us don't like the way you've been running things for the ward. Greater than __, this ain't no democracy." That night, Chris and his associates targeted Terry in his cell. "Boy, told you I'd see you soon. Greater than get these __, in the beanhole." During the altercation, another prisoner intervened to assist him. Shortly thereafter, the wardens arrived and separated the combatants. Consequently, all involved prisoners, including Terry, were placed in isolation. The next day, Killian brought Chris and Terry before the chief warden, Lucas. Chris faced disciplinary action from Lucas for assaulting new inmates without authorization. Following this, Terry was called into Lucas's office, where Lucas expressed his apologies for the earlier attack on him by Chris and his gang. Lucas then invited Terry to sit down, expressing interest in his background as a former Marine and suggesting that he could be a valuable asset. He introduced a facility he referred to as the dungeon, proposing that if Terry agreed to work with him as a fighter there, he would facilitate Terry's early release so he could reunite with his daughter. Afterward, Lucas provided Terry with a fighter's uniform and instructed him to meet his new roommate. A female warden named Maria then escorted Terry to the cell room where he was surprised to discover that his roommate was Bones, the prisoner who had assisted him during the earlier confrontation. Terry, intrigued, inquired about Bones's proficiency in fighting. Bones explained that his father was a martial arts master. He cautioned Terry about the brutality of the fights in the dungeon, but assured him that he would support him in facing his opponents. Subsequently, Terry visited the restroom where he informed Harvey about the dungeon. The following day, Bones took Terry to a gym to practice martial arts. In preparation for his upcoming battles in the dungeon, he also outlined which mafia groups would pose significant challenges for Terry, highlighting John as the reigning champion. Terry learned that selected prisoners would compete in the dungeon every Friday night, and that night was his turn. Dressed in a fighter's uniform, Terry was escorted by Killian and Maria to the fighting arena, accompanied by Bones. Upon arrival, he noticed Lucas seated on his throne. As Terry entered the dungeon, Lucas explained that it was a venue for unregulated fights with matches broadcast live to all prisoners and available for purchase online. At that moment, a battle was taking place between representatives of rival mafia groups, with John, known as Freeway, easily securing victory and retaining his title as the top contender. Nice. Next, it was Terry's turn to face El Papiro, a representative of a Mexican mafia group. Let's see what you got, Savage. Village. The number one greater than reach inside of him. Pull his soul out if he had one. Greater than you got to go out there in life _ death. Let's go. Keep it moving. They going to see welcome. Greater than what the _ was that? Greater than his success elicited cheers from the gathered prisoners, including a visibly pleased Lucas. After the match, John approached Lucas to discuss a reward for his victory. Lucas informed John that he could make any request. However, when John asked for his release as previously promised, Lucas declined, stating that John needed to win at least one more fight before being considered for release. In response, John threatened Lucas with a potential riot involving his gang and other prisoners if the promise was not upheld. The scene then shifted to Terry receiving a visit from a lawyer named Jeanette, who had previously assisted war veterans in securing their freedom. She expressed her intention to offer legal support for Terry's case, highlighting that he had been unjustly imprisoned while seeking funds for his daughter's medical expenses. However, due to his ongoing secret mission from Harvey, Terry felt compelled to decline her assistance. The scene transitioned to the dining room where Terry was confronted by John, who expressed his displeasure over Terry's victory the previous night. John issued a warning to Terry, advising him not to provoke him if he wished to avoid serious trouble within the prison. In summary, Terry found himself back in the ring, this time facing Dragon, a member of an Asian mafia group known for his arrogance and impressive kung fu skills. In an unexpected turn of events, Terry defeated Dragon with a single punch, further infuriating John, who feared that Terry might usurp his position as the strongest prisoner in the facility. Upon returning to his cell, Bones revealed the circumstances of his imprisonment, explaining that he had killed the individual who had harmed his younger sister. Terry expressed his sympathy and affirmed Bones's integrity as a good man. Bones also commended Terry for being a devoted father. The following day, while on duty, Terry was ambushed by several members of Jay's gang. Maria attempted to intervene, but was unfortunately stabbed by one of Jay's associates. Fortunately, Maria was rescued, which incited Terry's fury. He approached Lucas to request a match against John, but Lucas declined, stating that Terry was not yet prepared to face John, the reigning champion. Nevertheless, Terry persisted in urging Lucas to arrange the fight. Meanwhile, it became apparent that John had not sanctioned the attack on Terry and was enraged upon learning of his crew's reckless actions. Subsequently, Lucas took John's gang to the dungeon for punishment due to their misconduct, which had resulted in an injury to one of the wardens. Without hesitation, Lucas executed two of John's men as a warning for him to maintain control over his group and adhere to the established rules. After delivering this warning, Lucas ultimately agreed to allow John to fight Terry. As Terry trained diligently for the upcoming match, he also managed to relay information regarding the prison conditions and violations he had observed to Harvey. The highly anticipated battle between Terry and John commenced with Terry dominating the first round. Greater than let's get it on. Heat, come on. Greater than ultimately, Terry emerged victorious over John, claiming the title of top dog. Following his triumph, all prisoners acknowledged Terry's strength and submitted to his authority. In the afternoon, Terry was observed in a meeting with Lucas, who expressed his gratitude for Terry's victory the previous night as the fight video had generated substantial revenue. Consequently, Lucas appointed Terry as his trusted confidant to lead the other inmates within the facility. Additionally, Lucas requested Terry's assistance in managing his clandestine drug operations within the prison. Upon being entrusted with the responsibility of overseeing Lucas's drug business, Terry discreetly collected samples of the drugs present. Lucas then presented the bodies of 2 members from John's gang, whom he had killed in retaliation for their attack on Terry. He claimed this act was evidence of his commitment to ensuring Terry's safety in prison. However, it also served as incriminating evidence of the human rights violations perpetrated by Lucas. Despite the offer, Terry appeared untempted and firmly rejected it, stating that his sole desire was to fulfill Lucas's earlier promise of release so he could reunite with his daughter. In response to Terry's refusal, Lucas introduced him to an individual waiting in his office, who turned out to be Harvey. This revelation led Terry to realize that the mission was merely a ruse intended to ensnare him. He discovered that Harvey and Lucas were collaborating on various illegal enterprises within the prison, including the drug trade. They had sought to exploit Terry's combat skills as a former Marine and his background in street-level drug operations. Nevertheless, Terry maintained his stance against their proposal. Unfortunately, it became evident that they had taken Bones hostage and threatened his life to compel Terry to comply with their demands. Ultimately, Terry found himself coerced into acquiescing to Harvey and Lucas's orders. As time progressed, unbeknownst to Lucas and Harvey, Terry and Bones began secretly rallying the other prisoners to orchestrate an uprising. This endeavor was facilitated by Terry's popularity among the inmates, who were increasingly disillusioned with Lucas's arrogant and tyrannical behavior. The prisoners united in support of Terry's plan, and for legal assistance, he turned to Jeanette, who offered her help. At that moment, he provided her with all the evidence of Lucas and Harvey's criminal activities that he had gathered, as it appeared that Harvey had carelessly overlooked some of the incriminating materials. For their next fight, Lucas intentionally arranged for a notorious fighter from another prison named Kaka to face Terry. They going to see us. They going to see. Following this triumph, Terry commanded all the inmates to initiate a riot within the prison, escalating the situation into chaos. In response to the unrest, Lucas's men arrived armed to suppress the riot, but their attempts were futile due to being outnumbered by the prisoners. Concurrently, Lucas attempted to escape, but Terry recognized his intentions and pursued him until they confronted one another. Armed with a gun, Lucas shot at Terry as he charged, but Terry survived the attack due to the bulletproof vest he was wearing, an attribute provided by Lucas himself as part of his fighter arrangements. Shortly thereafter, police reinforcements arrived from headquarters, successfully apprehending Lucas and restoring order to the prison. Their timely arrival was facilitated by a report from Jeanette, who alerted them to the criminal activities orchestrated by Lucas and his associates. The film concludes with Terry meeting Jeanette, who informs him that he has been awarded a full pardon by the government for his assistance in exposing a criminal conspiracy within the prison involving Police Commissioner Harvey and several prison wardens, including Lucas. Moreover, the government will cover the medical expenses for Terry's daughter until her full recovery. Before leaving the prison, Terry expressed his gratitude to Bones for his support during his incarceration. As Terry exited his cell, he was met with cheers from fellow inmates who praised him and ultimately he was able to reunite with his daughter. Meanwhile, Lucas is left lamenting his fate as he is confined in a special cell held accountable for his numerous crimes. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.